HSK practice test, HSK1 practice test number 2. All right. I just did the listening because I'm kind of burnt out on studying today. I spent a lot of time on my HSK1 plus my new project of location words, and I just wanted to get into more of a daily habit of practicing listening, since that was the part that I am awful at, and because I haven't been focusing on it, so it makes sense that I'm awful at it. If you don't work, you can't progress. So here we go. I was going to do just the part that I sucked at the best, because you gotta be good at something. And then I ended up doing all 20 questions within the practice test for the listening because I couldn't stop myself. I like quantifying things, apparently. So in the first, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 sections for the listening. In the first part, I got 4 out of 5, same as the last time. Second part, 4 out of 5, same as last time. Wait. My notes are so messy. Yeah, 4 out of 5. The third part, I got 3 out of 5, which is the same as last time. Do you see a pattern? And the fourth part, I got 4 out of 5, which is exactly the same as last time. So I'm not progressing, but what I did do differently, instead of listening to them again and again and again, I listened to most of them only one time. So I'm sticking closer to the time frame. I think by the time I get to the third practice test, I'm just going to do it within the 20 minutes and see what my score is, because that is the true score. And you have to practice for things like this. You have to practice so that you do better than you would in a test environment, because your nerves are going to be there in the test environment. At least my nerves are going to be there. This is my first, other than a placement test for a class, for a language class, this is the first time I've taken a language test. And the added pressure of being a language tester, I feel like I should over-prepare for this, in addition to not wanting to waste my time or my company's money in doing this. Mostly my time. Oh, did I say that? Right, so my scores were about the same, but I did it in a shorter time frame, so I think that's a good thing. So I was getting used to the sounds of the language in their sentence and conversational form. Again, HSK1, they're doing a lot with like common everyday conversations, functional conversations. Not exactly my end goal, but the vocabulary they're using are things I can definitely see showing up in newspapers. So I'm still on track for my goal. I have noticed, since I've been doing a lot more reading than listening, that man oh man, I want to show you my favorite mistake. When I can't figure out what a word or phrase is, I write it just kind of, not even IPA, International Phonemic Alphabet. No, that's way too much for me to remember right now. I write it just kind of phonetically with Latin letters. And there was this one phrase in part 2 that was, or one sentence that was, wo kanjian mai mai yi fola. And I wrote it literally, can you see this here? Fola. And I put a question mark because clearly that's not even pinyin. That doesn't follow the sounds in pinyin at all. But I wanted to make sure that I knew that that exact phrase, sorry, my computer cord just committed harakiri, that exact phrase was something I needed to review. And what was it? It was yifula. Yifula, close, and then there was a particle there. So I know yifu, but what's tripping me up is it seems to be that blending in English seems to go from the end of one word and then you blend into the beginning of the next word. Like what you doing, what you doing, that kind of thing. But what seems to be happening with Chinese, and I may be totally wrong on this is a new theory, is that they'll extend the first syllable of a 2-syllable word. They'll extend that, and then they'll, wait, let me get this right. I have an example here, a different example. Zhou shang. I actually wrote zhou as one word, because it is sometimes, even though I'm pronouncing it wrong, and zishang I actually put together. So they're Oh, it is sort of the same blending. So what ended up happening is that jo was by itself, even though it was only one syllable in a two-syllable word, and then zisheng was put together. So I'm getting the blending totally wrong, which is making me search for words that don't exist. So I think that's what's happened with yifolo. Because I put yi and then folo. Oh, that's exactly what's happening. Oh, that's so weird. Why am I doing that? Because I'm not used to where the breaks are and where the blends are, I suppose. But yeah, because I had yi folo, folo, even though yifu is the word and le is the particle. But I put yi folo because that's where the rhythm of the language was. So I'm not used to that. And I noticed that was happening a lot in the listening. And I think noticing this might make it easier. Although, why are they pausing in the middle of a word? Do we do that? Okay, now that I've said that, I'm probably going to notice that blending in English is much more similar. Because if you're sitting the end of the word, what you doing, it's usually a similar sound too. And in this case, it isn't necessarily a similar sound. It's just taking the second part of a word and adding it to the next syllable. Is this only happening with one syllable? It is. The examples I wrote down, it's attaching it. The second syllable of one word is attaching itself to a one syllable word afterwards. So maybe that's the rule. I don't really care about the rule. I just want to get used to the rhythm and where the breaks in the words are. It will take me forever to get used to spacing breaks with Hansa characters, but I think this might be easier because I've already identified this only in my second listening practice. So I think that's pretty good to notice it. Now, how can I fix it? I'm not sure. I think when I do things like this where I write it down just as bizarre phonetically as I can, is to know that it could be these two sounds actually together and that sound goes over there. So kind of play with it. It's not an ideal situation because you don't have time to do that when you're just listening, right? But you do what you can. I mean, it's going to take me a while to be able to function with sounds, but that's kind of blowing me away right now. That's something that's going to take a while for me to get used to. I've been meaning to, Lena from Lena Around did a video on TV shows that she likes to listen to or watch, but I would be listening. Might be watching too. What am I talking about? I don't know. I'm pretty tired. Anyway, she made a video about that. So I think I'm going to dig into that and see if I can get more listening. Even if I don't know exactly what's happening, maybe get more of the rhythm of the language and more of how the blending's happening. Because it's not happening the way I think it's happening. Of course, people don't stop. I don't even stop when I'm over enunciating for these kinds of videos. I don't stop between each word. Things blend together. It's just I'm not used to the sounds of Chinese yet, and so when it blends I get totally lost and make up words that don't exist and don't even follow opinion conventions. I know they don't, but you know, what can you do? So that's one thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed, I'm getting better, especially by the fourth section. I made a big note here. Don't have to understand every word, because I started to write in the first few sections. And I find this actually helps when I'm listening to write down as many words as I can recognize. I've crossed these out, but I just kept trying to write. I don't remember the tones, but I was trying to write the pinyin at least of the words that I recognize. And I think that helps me focus on the keywords, and it helps me pick them out, especially with the blending issue that's happening. But I did find by the time it got to the longer pieces, because it does build part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, the exchanges get longer, the sentences get longer, and by the fourth one I couldn't write everything down. It was too much. So I found myself thinking, I don't have to understand every word that's being said. We don't consciously listen to every word that's being said in conversations that we have and languages that we're functional in. So I need to start getting better at listening for keywords in these listenings. And so with part 4, I listened one time straight through. I didn't pause at all, and I got 4 out of 5. So I did okay with that. I did okay with that. So I need to remind myself not to get caught up on every single word I don't know. Now I did actually pull a bunch of sentences from the first the first three sections, and I'm going to add those to my Lightner Box HSK1 flashcards. Like example, to eat something, 吃东中都 can't speak right now. 吃东西 to eat something. I think that's useful, right? Again, not for newspapers, but maybe for daily life. I don't know. Oh, here's one. I didn't know how to ask what time it was. This is what happens when you study by yourself and not in a class, right? Again, I'm not super concerned about functional language, but why not? It's here, gotta know it for the test anyway. And that's 现在 只讲了. My tones are so bad. Oh well. With listening, I will get better. And then please drink tea. I will definitely say this to someone in person at some point. Ching hu cha. Yeah, my tones are so bad. Anyway, so there's that. So I did make a note of those, so I have more phrases to go on the flashcards to give me more context. The thing I didn't like in this test, and that I keep seeing happening, hold on, let me find it, number 12. When they give you the pictures, the 6 pictures in the last part, and you're supposed to listen and then pick the context. Do you see? I don't think I can point. Hold on. These 2 people here. Follow my finger right here. Do you see those 2 people at the bottom? I'm going to zoom in on them. Okay. Do you see that? Do you see that? Those 2 people? Do you know what the context for that was? When did you come to Beijing? Oh, I came to Beijing this year in 2009. How is that the context? Okay, granted, the first picture is a clock, the second picture is a businesswoman. It was actually a teacher. Yeah, teachers dress like that. The maybe they do in universities here or somewhere. I don't know, but most teachers don't dress like that here. It's a very casual teaching environment. Anyway, the C was the example one, so we didn't even have to worry about that. And it was a hello kind of thing, right? And D was a dog, so it was a conversation about what the dog's name was. The dog's name was very bizarre. And then the E was about fruit, and somehow we're supposed to figure out that these 2 people at a dinner party, because she's holding like a glass that looks like a wine glass, they're talking about when they came to Beijing. It's just bizarre. There are things that keep popping up like that. Or they'll show a picture of someone who doesn't look typically Chinese, and they'll have a conversation about where they're from, or you're supposed to assume that anybody that doesn't look Chinese is from the US or Canada. Like, that keeps repeating. And it's like, they could be from a lot of different places. So there's some cultural weirdness in the test, but I suppose you have that in any test. I know that exists in the tests that I do, and that's all I'm gonna say. So I'm pretty happy that I was able to do the test quicker with the same result. Now, obviously, the goal is to do the test within the time allotted and feel confident that I understand what's happening and get more of them right each time I do them. There's still some vocabulary that's popping up that I don't understand, that's not in the HSK1 vocabulary list, and I'm guessing that's because we're not supposed to know every word that's happening, every word that's on the test. I'm guessing I'm being a bit of an overachiever on that, which could be a first in my life as far as studying a language goes. So who knows? I don't know. But I have to let go of understanding every word. That's something that has always stopped me from progressing in a language, because I get frustrated that there are things I don't understand and I stop, and stopping is stupid. If I could rename the channel, I would rename this channel Stopping is Stupid, the continuation of changing scripts, because stopping just does no good. You can't progress if you stop. Frustration is normal, stopping is stupid. Okay, it's not really a great name for a channel, but it's how I feel right now. If I just keep going, eventually I will get to where I want to go. Will it be quick? Heck no, I'm doing this part-time. I'm overdosing on it this week because I have 2 weeks off because of Spring Festival / Chinese New Year, but in general I'm doing this very, very part-time. So far, so good. So tomorrow I'm going to do tomorrow, the next day, I'm going to do the second half, which is the reading, but that's super easy. I'll probably finish that within 10 minutes. I could do it now, but what a day. So I'm going to try to do the listening at least every other day. I only have so many practice tests at my disposal, and honestly, after a point, I don't know how useful it is to keep doing the practice tests. So I'm thinking I'll probably do like 4 or 5 because it's my first test and I want to get used to the type of questions too. But after that, I think it's just a matter of listening to the language and getting used to that. So that I might have to veer over into the TV shows. Radio doesn't work for me yet. I've tried to download podcasts and just listen to stuff, and I need to see people's faces and how they're making the sounds, which is why I think TV shows might be good. I don't know. We'll see. It's been on my to-do list for a long time, so I think this might be a good entryway into TV shows in Chinese. And let's face it, some of the dramas and the comedies and things, especially the soap operas, are kind of fun. So I could get hooked on that and learn all kinds of things. We'll see. And thus opens the cultural side of learning a language. Getting way ahead of myself right now. Anyway, so that's the beginning, or the first half of the second practice test. I will let you know what happens with the second one, but I guarantee you it's going to be a lot faster and a lot less frustrating because reading for me in Chinese, because that's what I've been focusing on, is so much easier than listening. So hopefully I can get to some sort of confident level within the next month. March 24th is my test, I believe. So I've got over a month. I've got tons of time, but I actually have a 1-week vacation in there too, so I'm trying to figure out how to practice a little bit on the vacation. Yeah, March 24th. Wow, why did I pick this so far away? I could do this next week. Because I want to do it well. But anyway, yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how to put, I think I can put the audio on an MP3 player. I have one, don't ask why. And I can print out some of the tests and I can just practice the same test. It's 1 week, so I can just go to town on one of the tests and do that. And doing that with my vocabulary Lightner envelopes should be enough just for that week. Again, just like half an hour a day just to keep it fresh in my mind because that's just a couple of weeks before the test. Yeah, so that's that. So thank you. And if you have taken the HSK one, I don't think I've even asked you guys this yet. If you've taken the HSK one, if you have any tips on the test, even if it's like the structure of the test, I'm assuming it's on a computer. Are there any things with the instructions that kind of tripped you up? Any advice that you have about the test itself? This is my first time taking any of these, so I'm not entirely sure how it's going to go. I've got the format of the test because I'm taking the practice test, but if there's anything that wasn't in the practice material that sort of surprised you or that you would like to pass on, please do. I would appreciate that. I would like the language to be graded, not my inability to work a computer or understand the instructions to be graded, especially at this level. Thank you so much, and more soon. Satyen.